you so very much, Deepak. It's an honor to be here uh, to speak to some of the best industry minds on how technology is impacting our businesses. You know, there is a curse in the Chinese, in Chinese, which says, may you be living in interesting times. And unfortunately, we seem to be living in very interesting times. Uh, the COVID-19 pandemic has thrown mankind into a complete disarray. I don't think in the last few generations has a crisis hit so many people and so many nations across the world at the same time. But this is not the first pandemic humankind is facing. There have been other, arguably more severe pandemics, right from smallpox 3,000 years back, which killed 30% of its victims, to the bubonic plague, or the Black Death as it was called, which killed half of China in 1331, or one third of Europe, uh, you know, getting impacted from 1341 to 1351, and closer home, about 1.2 crore people dying in India in 1355. Whole neighborhoods in Mumbai, I'm told, that were burnt down because they were supposed to have been infected by the bubonic plague. So, does any of this justify the current strategy, current tragedy? Of course not. The only limited point being, this is not the worst mankind has faced. And that should give us all hope and confidence of, yes, this too shall pass. Interestingly, when one looks at what's the difference between the catastrophe of last centuries to now, apart from advancement in medicine, availability of technology seems to be playing a major role. News spreads quickly, knowledge becomes available faster, businesses can operate remotely, and help comes faster using technology. Technology has impacted all aspects of our life. I mean, that's stating the obvious. People did mention about the way we buy stuff, the way we learn, the way we entertain ourselves. Everything has gotten impacted. And to be able to not only thrive but survive in respective industries, companies must adopt technologies, right from artificial intelligence to virtual reality or augmented reality, advanced analytics, Internet of Things, cybersecurity, a whole lot of stuff sitting over there. But you look at the distinguished panel, they will tell you how inevitable technology is to business today. And I really wanted to think about the panel today, and I know that's probably the best signal of how technology is proliferating our lives. There are 5 business people discussing the digital future forward. There is no IT head really here. There are 2 people with strong technology background. So Akash and Kalol, welcome. Then there is Rakshit and Sanjay from the travel and hospitality industries, who are arguably most hit by the pandemic. People have stopped traveling, people have stopped using hotels, stopped going to the restaurants, going to bars, etc., etc. And then there is Apul, who's the lone man representing the financial services industry, which is also facing a very tough business environment. You can't lend money, you can't collect money. So how do you enable your business? And the best thing is all of these guys are business people. Today, we will together try to decode what the business priorities and initiatives are and understand from our panelists how they are revving up tech adoption, and in the process finding solutions for economic, social, and personal growth in the times of COVID. So sincere welcome to all the panelists. Let me start by the most obvious questions, and this is actually to Akash and to Kalol, since you are the guys who have a ringside view of technology. Akash comes from Samsung and Kalol from Dell. Life must be hectic for you guys, meeting customer requirements on the product side, on servicing side, um, to support large-scale remote working, digitization of customer experiences, etc. So my question to you guys is, and this is just a warm-up question, guys, what is new in the area of technology development in your companies, and how do you see the future of technology over the next maybe 3 years? So let's start with Akash and then quickly roll over to Kalol. Akash, over to you.
Thanks, Vikas. It's a pleasure to be here today. Uh, If you look at from a technology perspective, and when I see in the hindsight, I think in terms of the processes and all the technologies, tools and technologies that we use today internally, I think we were already geared up for something like this, and there hasn't been any significant technology introduction per se. Our tools and technologies were already there in terms of being able to cater to the customer's requirement and to be able to engage with internally, because there's a lot of engagement that we did internally amongst the teams when COVID actually started and everything got to a shutdown. In fact, the amount of calls that were happening across between the teams to get them together, to make sure they all are okay, and to make sure that how do we go about conducting our business in this new scenario were all new things for us. This was something that has, even in our lifespan, has been absolutely new for us. We had, at least, I don't think any one of us has seen any situation like this where everything is shut down and you are working completely in remote. If you look at from technology perspective, the application, well, the biggest change that we see in the technology perspective is, of course, the advent of 5G. That is something which is going to really 5G and IoT, AI. These are three things, and 5G is something that hopefully the trials should start, and we should be seeing 5G launches probably end of the year or sometime next year. We already have launched the first 5G device in India with our Note 20 Plus Ultra. And 5G with the kind of speeds that are available, if you look at today, even today, if you look at the kind of VC that we guys are doing, this is absolutely seamless. There are no issues. We all have got high speed links at home. I still remember my days when I started my journey at IBM. We used to have a very low speed, and internet used to be the big thing in '96. Okay, when I started at IBM, and it has been a big change today. So if you look at from a technology perspective, 5G is one which is definitely going to change. In terms of the devices that we are bringing in, are also those technology changes which are really making the change in terms of being able to work highly productive at home. So if you look at it, it's all about how do you work productively and how does the productivity goes up. So if you look at today our devices, you don't need a laptop at home. I could just have my mobile phone and I could just connect it wirelessly to my television or to a monitor. And everything that we need to do on a laptop, which is typically MS Office or email or any of that stuff, presentation or an Excel, all that you can do remotely just using your phone. The phone has become so powerful these days that the capability of the phone is so high that we have built in these tools and technologies today where you can work seamlessly on your television and PC. The other thing is that we have got tablets and a bigger size tablets that we have launched, which are absolutely premium devices with a pan that comes in. And that's the other thing that we have done on the pan also, where there is a seamless integration and the speed at which you write on the device with the pan has been fantastic. And there's a lot of AI that we have used in that, where we are able to exactly using AI point out as to where the pan is going to move. As a result, we are able to make sure that the response time on writing on the tablet is as smooth and as good as you are actually writing on a piece of paper. So it is very good for students who are going to use it. And these days, education is becoming very important. All the schools and colleges are closed. Everything is happening online. So devices and a good communication, all that is going to play a very important role. And a pen in that case makes it highly productive because you can take notes. You can actually record a complete session. And that's the tools that Samsung provides, that on our phones and tablets, we have got a recording option available. So if you're doing a class, you just need to click on a record screen and everything that is happening on the screen, which means including a video, gets all recorded. So for students and even for teachers to see as to how they, because a lot of teachers were not used to conducting a online class, so to say. They were all on-site presence, physical presence. So there are a lot of changes and a lot of tools and technologies that we are bringing to the table. And I think this is where the world is moving in, where a lot of devices are going to be in play. We are already seeing, I was just checking on my, uh, I have Orbi at home, and I was looking at how many devices. I realized that I never thought that I would have about 25, 26 devices in my home which are connected to the internet. And I still do not have a vacuum cleaner which is connected to the internet, or a refrigerator which is not yet connected to the internet. Think of the days which are going to come, which are already, Samsung has already launched refrigerators and washing machines in India, which are connected to the internet. So I think the 5G, AI, and IoT, along with the highly productive devices, are something which will really transform the future. It's already happening, and I see a major transformation moving forward.
So the big point is, there is technology available and being continuously developed, which will even replace laptops, and which will be available on mobiles. I mean, I'm reminded of what the earlier pioneers in computers would say, that computers are not for personal use, and then Microsoft happened, and how computers invaded our homes, and now we are actually carrying more power in the computing power in our pockets than even on laptops in front of us. So yeah, so that's a great point. Cutting over to Kalol, would you take a stab at this question?
Sure. Thanks, Vikas. And thanks to all the panelists who are here today. And thank you for having me here. I think it's a topic which needs a lot of deliberation. And to start with, let me wind back to March 4th. And at Dell Technologies, in our office building, we had the dubious distinction of having the first COVID patient in Bangalore, actually. So one of our colleagues flew down from US, and then he was detected with COVID some 4 days after he landed. And prior to that, he was in office, he moved around. And so that was the initial days. I'm talking about March 4th, when it all started. And then what happened was we were all going to office. And on March 13th, we decided that we will all work from home. And suddenly you find around 40,000 people in India and 120,000 people globally started working from home. So that's a big shift. And right, like Akash mentioned, that some preparations were there. Dell has been pioneering the concept of work from home for a long time. And there are various plans and programs in place, including employee resource groups who help us in different areas of how to handle situations when you're working from home, how to handle the family part of it, how to handle the meetings, and so on and so forth. Now, having said that, there were some technology enhancements which were required as part of our access network and virtual private networks, because you have to get into a VPN to be secure and so on and so forth. Because earlier, maybe only 10,000 people were working from home, and now you have 120,000 people across the world started working from home. So a huge amount of effort went into making sure we have the right bandwidth, we have the right infrastructure. People were provided with laptops at home because a lot of them were actually desk workers in the office using desktop computers, not laptops. So how do you quickly make sure that everyone has a laptop which he or she can take it home? Surprisingly, after that was around April, I would say March, April. And then we did a survey in May and end of May, that what are people missing most as part of work from home. And guess what? The primary thing which came up in everybody's mind is, I'm missing the office chair. The chair became the point of concern for everyone because everybody was using a dining chair or a sofa or whatever, and creating that home office environment became the next challenge, right? And I think I will contradict Akash here, that having the phone as the primary device is good, but you cannot continue looking at the phone throughout the day and continue all work on the phone. That becomes a challenge. One of my colleagues had actually purchased 2 laptops for their kids who were going to school. And guess what? After a week or 15 days, the kids come back and said that, Dad, this is not working because the screen size is too small. So having a large monitor because you're working every day from home, making sure you're using the right type of device becomes important. And that is the new normal we are facing now, because I don't see we moving back to the office this year at least, this physical year. I don't know what will happen next year, and whether the vaccine will work or not, we don't know yet. But this becomes the new normal. So coming back to your question, Vikas, as to what we have seen in the development area as far as Dell is concerned. Now, Dell is a manufacturing company. Dell is a retail company. Dell is what do you call sort of a online store, because you can buy Dell machines online. And a lot of developments which happen back end are not seen by the end user directly. What I mean by that is, yes, we manufacture laptops, we sell laptops which will enhance productivity of companies and their people. But what happens when the battery life elongates? How can we make the battery life longer? So we have introduced technologies which are called, a sensor on, presence on and presence off. What does that mean? That means that when you're in front of the laptop powers up and shows you the screen. As soon as you move out, it shuts down and basically conserves battery. So those are new technologies at the edge, which we are finding very interesting, because now that people are using laptops on a regular basis and they're not going to office and they want more power from their batteries, which is powering the laptop, I think it becomes important to conserve battery and make sure it can run for a longer period of time, because we know in India, power cuts are normal. Not everybody has UPS, and it becomes a challenge. How do I power my router? And you can power the router through the laptop itself. So those are technologies which are evolving and which end users can see. Now, Dell Technologies, as I was mentioning to Deepak, is a group of companies. We provide solutions from the edge, which is the edge devices, to the data center, we call the core, and then the cloud, which is becoming, all pervasive. You talk to anyone, he or she will talk about cloud, because cloud is the next big thing which is going to happen along with 5G. Now, we provide equipments at the edge and in the core data center and the cloud. So the example which I gave you is primarily at the edge. Now, what we have done in the data center equipment is very interesting. We are bringing in products like storage, like servers, which are actually tuned to a particular application like artificial intelligence, like AR, VR, right? We call it XR, augmented reality, virtual reality, or whatever you call it. Those are requiring different set of power, different set of features and functionality. So we are bringing that equipment. And on the other hand, we are using machine learning to augment our own product itself. Let me give some small example. All of you know that storage is consisting of either, solid state drives, which Samsung manufactures, of course, and some are old, spindle type drives. Where you write data becomes important, because that will determine the latency of retrieval. That means how fast you can retrieve the data. So what we do now is use machine learning to actually store data which can be retrieved faster, which the customer uses very often, right? So effectively what will happen is your entire response time, speed to respond to your customer will go up if you use machine learning to store data. So such innovative things are happening within our product sets to give a better end user experience to our end customers. Finally, talking about cloud, I think all of us know that there are multiple hyperscalers like the Amazon, like the Google, like Oracle Cloud, IBM Cloud. You take, and Microsoft, of course, Azure. There are multiple hyperscaler clouds which people use for a lot of applications. Now it's becoming like a big spaghetti challenge. I use Google for this, I use Microsoft for that. And customers are finding it difficult to manage the entire portfolio of cloud and which application goes where and so on and so forth. So what we have done is we have brought out a control plane which will work across clouds. So irrespective of where you put your workload, whether it's Google, whether it's Microsoft, whether it's Azure or Amazon, you can manage your workload very efficiently through a single pane of glass, making life easier for IT folks and for people who are managing things. How does it relate to business and how does it relate to end user experience? Well, your systems will be better configured. You'll get better uptime. And third, which is very important, is your entire operations costs come down because with one person you can manage the entire cloud portfolio. So these are some of the things which I'm seeing happening, and this will have an overarching effect on how we serve our customers, what customers will do to enhance their customers and their service to their customers, and it'll have an I would say overarching impact on the overall scenario as far as technology is concerned. So that's a short answer to your question, Vikas.